It is better to be feared than loved if you cannot be both. You learn this the first time you draw a line that cannot be crossed. Not in a book, but in the moment you say no and keep it. Growth begins there. A boundary, a competence, an option you didn't have yesterday. To outsiders, it looks like virtue. To those who fed on your softness, it looks like a threat. People pretend growth is a party. Balloons, applause, friendly advice. But every party has an accounting office in the back. When you get sharper, faster, calmer, the numbers change. You are harder to guilt, harder to stall, harder to buy with praise. Those who relied on your confusion and need for approval feel the floor tilt. They call your clarity selfish, your pace cold. In truth, you simply stopped leaking power. Growth breaks understandings. The unspoken chores, the late-night rescues, the constant availability, the small laughs at small insults to keep the peace. When you refuse those, the old map becomes useless. Do not be surprised when people fight for the map instead of learning the land. They are not protecting love. They are protecting routes to control. Consider the ledger beneath every connection. No signatures, no stamps, just columns, benefits, and risks. Who depends on whom? Who can be ignored? Who must be appeased? You may prefer the poetry of friendship. Keep the poetry. Study the math. The math predicts behavior when feelings get loud. At work, you level up. You learn to document decisions, escalate cleanly, say, put it in writing. Overnight, the ledger shifts. The colleague who thrived in chaos loses his favorite fog. He calls you rigid. He invites you to be a team player. Translation, return the fog so he can win by improvisation. Do not argue about adjectives. Look at incentives. In family, you stop lending money without terms. You offer a plan, deadlines, consequences. Someone who used crisis as a trump card must face ordinary responsibility. Watch the theater. Raise voices, old stories, sudden illnesses, not because they hate you, but because the old arrangement was profitable. Your growth removes a subsidy. In love, you stop accepting apologies that arrive without change. You set a standard and keep it. The ledger flips. Your partner learns that tears will not erase patterns. There may be remorse or a new mask. The mask smiles, promises, distracts. Do not bargain with masks, demand deeds. Dependence makes people polite. Your favors and silence were a credit line. Close the line and the tone changes. The message underneath is simple. You were useful when you were pliable. Independence removes their leverage, so they try one of three moves. First, nostalgia. They praise the old you. You used to be so easygoing. It is a coupon for yesterday's price. Decline and keep walking. Second, confusion. They flood you with details, guilt, emergencies. Confusion is cheaper than concession. Do not debate 12 points, repeat one sentence. These are my terms. If they want partnership, they will convert. If they want control, they will escalate. Third, defamation. When they cannot move you, they try to move your image. Whisper networks, selective stories. Do not chase every rumor. Invest in visible consistency. Time is a witness, so are results. The city watches who can build and who can only bark. Does fear become your aim? No, capacity is your aim. Keep promises, including the hard ones. Be precise without apology. Shut doors you do not intend to open again. Offer clear deals, mutual gain, clean boundaries, honest consequences. Some will meet you as an equal. Some will step back and reveal themselves. Your growth will not always be loved, but it will be respected by those who can build. That is enough. Stop waiting for universal permission. The map is changing and it bears your handwriting. Walk it with a steady pace, a steady voice, and eyes open to the ledgers that are always there. I choose capacity over approval. Men are so simple and so subject to prison necessities that he who seeks to deceive will always find someone who will allow himself to be deceived. You have met this line in the wild. It wears a soft voice and a warm smile. It says, "You're perfect as you are." It brings cake to your desk, emojis to your feed, soothing hands to your restless plans. It says it cares, but watch its posture when you start to grow. The smile stiffens, the voice lowers, compliments become a seatbelt. The hug tightens into a harness. Comfort is a policy. It announces stability and sends the bill to your future. People who profit from your smallness will sell you pillows. Take it easy, they whisper when you study at midnight. Don't overthink it, they say, when you ask for terms, timelines, accountability. At first you hear love, later you see policy. Their praise is conditional, granted when you stay familiar, suspended when you get inconvenient, like a clerk who stamps permits only for shops that stay small. Approval arrives as long as your ambitions fit their map. Picture the weekend gathering. You mention a new certification or a side venture, laughter arrives. Polite but sharp enough to bruise. Ambitious, someone says, as if ambition were a hat you should not wear indoors. Another offers sugar. You don't need all that, you're already great. The compliments sound kind, but the contract is hidden. Stay where we can reach you. Stay where our advice still rules. At work, a manager praises your team spirit, yet changes the topic when you ask for a raise tied to measurable results. The praise is the perfume of delay. You are meant to inhale it, feel grateful, and forget the numbers. When you persist, the room cools. You have broken protocol by refusing the blanket in favor of the ledger. Understand this clearly. Comfort delivered at the right moment can neutralize your momentum more efficiently than a direct order. Approval is a currency. In every circle, prices exist, even if no one names them. Post a joke that flatters the group myth. Likes rise. Question a myth with evidence. Silence. The market speaks. The tax on your ambition is paid in frosty replies, in seen receipts, in invitations that vanish. Your growth is treated like inflation. Your friends' old advantages buy less influence than before, so they try to slow the economy of your life. Watch the tactics. Teasing comes first. It pretends to be friendly fire. Look at you, CEO. The laugh studies your face for a flinch, an apology, a retreat. If teasing fails, silence arrives. No comments on your launch, no reposts, no congratulations. Silence is not empty. It is pressure. A quiet vote against your direction. If silence does not work, the helpful warnings begin. Be careful. People who aim too high burn out. I knew a guy who tried that, lost everything. These stories dress as wisdom and sell you a smaller future at a discount. You do not need to hate them to read them. People protect their interests. If your rise shrinks their theater, they will dim your lights. Read approval like you read prices. Cheap applause for safe choices. Heavy fees for daring ones. When the price spikes, you are near real change. Pay it with discipline, not drama. There is also a sweeter trap, strategic generosity. It pays today to buy your tomorrow. A mentor introduces you to a client and later expects obedience. A partner showers gifts and later demands that your goals shrink to fit the gift. A friend lends you cash with the warmth of family and files the receipt in a drawer labeled leverage. The day you disagree, the kindness is unboxed as collateral. After all I've done for you. The phrase is a chain slipped around your neck with velvet gloves. Contrast this with genuine support. Real allies invest without writing your lines for you. They celebrate your autonomy even when it disrupts their convenience. When you say, I can't make that event, I'm building, they don't pout, they pivot. They argue with your ideas, not your right to have them. They do not fear your strength because their value doesn't depend on your weakness. You need tests, simple, repeatable, precise. First test, change a plan in a way that benefits your long-term interest and mildly inconveniences theirs. Watch the response. A controller will personalize the inconvenience, so I don't matter. A supporter will operationalize it. Got it. What do you need to make this work? Second test, raise your price. This can be money, or the price of your time, or your standards for effort. A controller will call you difficult. A supporter will ask clarifying questions and adjust. Third test, introduce boundaries where there used to be endless favors. A controller will keep score and present a bill. A supporter will respect the line and still shake your hand. Your role is not to grow suspicious of every kindness. Your role is to know the game so you can play clean, keep records, tie gratitude to facts, not to fog. When someone helps you, thank them precisely and keep your independence. Do not sell tomorrow for a warm today. Do not sign contracts with your loneliness. Generosity that demands obedience is not generosity. It is a loan with hidden interest. Here is the quiet pivot. Many people are not plotting against you. They are simply obeying gravity. The gravity of comfort, the gravity of habit, the gravity of their own fears. But gravity still keeps you on the ground unless you build engines. Engines are routines, skills, options, and boundaries. With engines, you do not need their comfort. You can choose alliances, not cages. So strip away the myth. Not everyone wants your best. Many want your best that still keeps you manageable. Affirmation can be a leash. You're perfect as you are can mean don't change the terms that favor me. You do not need anger to cut a leash. You need clarity and a steady hand. Approve yourself, proceed anyway. If you do not govern yourself, you will be governed. Your wounds sit like unelected ministers inside you. They whisper from the shadows and sign decrees with your hand. You think you are choosing. In truth, the policy has already been written by fear, by need, by the old craving to be chosen at any cost. You do not need chains when a memory can do the job. You do not need guards when shame holds the key. Shame is the first lever. It tells you that wanting more is arrogance, that drawing a boundary is cruelty, that rest is laziness. Someone tugs the lever and you step back from the raise, from the pitch, from the clean no. Scarcity is the second lever. It says, there will never be enough. You accept scraps because scraps feel safer than the risk of asking. The fantasy of being owed love is the third lever. You serve forever in the hope that one day the world will repay your unpaid debt. These levers do not shout. They tilt the floor. When the floor tilts, you call retreat, prudence, and submission maturity. No one has to force you. You hand over the keys. Look at daily life. A notification pings and the wound wakes. Answer now or be forgotten. You drop your project to reply, not because the message matters, but because neglect once tore you open and you still obey that ghost. Your manager delays feedback and the wound translates delay into danger. You overwork to outrun the silence and the silence learns it can steer you. A partner sighs at your ambition. The wound hears abandonment and sells tomorrow to buy 10 minutes of peace. The technique is simple. Signal a threat to the wound and the citizen will police himself. The wound hates exposure, so it invents noble stories. You call it loyalty when you remain underpaid in the name of team. You call it humility when you stay quiet in rooms that would benefit from your clarity. You call it compassion when you allow repeat offenses. Because they had a tough childhood. Noble stories are cheaper than change. They let you keep your chains and a clean conscience. Enter the merchant of self-doubt. Sometimes a mentor, sometimes a partner, sometimes a friend with careful eyebrows. They sell safety in installments. Their shop window reads, just being realistic. They study your ledgers, where you fear loss, where you crave approval, and design counsel that robs you gently. You leave the meeting lighter by one decision. They leave heavier by one unit of influence. Case 1, the senior colleague who cares about your trajectory. He invites you to postpone the public launch until the timing is better. Better for whom? His niche looks bigger when yours remains small. He frames hesitation as wisdom and bills the delay to your future. Your caution pays his comfort. He profits by renting you his confidence at a rate you can never finish paying. Case 2, the partner who admires your fire but asks you to be more present every time your fire begins to build heat. Presence, in this usage, means extinguish your momentum so my anxiety can sleep. They praise your talent while placing sandbags around your runway. Then they ask why you do not fly. When you choose the runway, they feel abandoned. Their feelings become tariffs on your flight. The tariff rises each time you take off. Soon you seek permission to use your own wings. Case 3, the friend who always has a cautionary tale. He knows someone who lost everything. He knows someone who tried and was punished. He never knows someone who won by insisting. His stories are a market forecast. Crash incoming. But look at the incentives. If you rise, the mirror he uses must change. His status beside you falls. Better to insure against your ascent by raising a cloud of rational fear. Fog looks like wisdom to the tired. Manipulation rarely looks like a knife. It looks like a chair pulled out for you, then slid away when you begin to stand too tall. It looks like introductions that become handcuffs. It looks like praise that expires when you disagree. The revenue model is consistent. Your hesitation funds their stability. Your uncertainty buys them time to keep the world arranged in their favor. Stop imagining villains. Imagine interests. The city inside you must be governed with this clarity. You are not punishing anyone when you reclaim authority. You are setting policy for a state that has long been ruled by crisis and politeness. New policy begins on paper. Terms you will live by even when you are tired, even when they call you ungrateful, even when the old levers pull. First decree. Define worth independent of applause. Your value is not a public auction. Choose 2 or 3 measures that cannot be purchased by likes, skill improved per week, promises kept, results delivered. Record them in a plain ledger. Read the ledger when praise is loud. Read it when silence is louder. The ledger makes you unbribable by noise. Second decree, refusal without justification. A sovereign does not file essays to decline poor treaties. Practice the sentence, "No, that doesn't work for me," and stop there. Your wound will panic. It believes that safety lives in explanations. But explanations are rope. The more you offer, the more they pull. Keep your answers short and consistent. Over time, the city learns that your boundaries are borders, not suggestions. Third decree, ration exposure. Do not let every signal reach the throne. Mute what exhausts you. Schedule what distracts you. Limit the citizens who have keycard access to your mind. Superstition calls this cold. Governance calls it order. Your attention is a treasury. Protect it with guards, not hopes. Fourth decree, enforce consequences quietly. Do not threaten, act. Reduce access when patterns repeat. Move meetings to email. Move email to silence. The wound will demand a speech. Give it a verdict. The person who depends on your softness will call you harsh. The person who depends on your clarity will call you reliable. Let that difference sort your alliances. Fifth decree, rehearse panic. When the lever pulls, shame, scarcity, owed love have a drill. Breathe. Label the lever aloud. This is scarcity speaking, then verify facts. How much do you truly risk? What are the actual numbers? The timelines, the alternatives. Panic sells generalities. Facts are the receipts that end the sale. You will be accused of becoming hard. Accept the charge. You are becoming load-bearing. There is a difference. Hardness without purpose breaks things to feel strong. Load-bearing strength carries weight so good things can stand. The city you govern becomes calmer. Commerce improves. Friends who like you weak fade. Allies who like you effective appear. Your wounds will not vanish. They will become known quantities. Rivers with bridges, not floods. You will still feel the pull to earn love, to appease fear, to overpay for belonging. But feeling is not fate. Policy holds. You can care without being captured. You can love without selling your office. You can listen without surrendering the map. This is how self-rule looks from the street. Fewer apologies, clearer terms, smaller circles, steadier steps. People who relied on your confusion will test the gates. They will send stories, emergencies, and old nicknames to reclaim the city. Do not argue with messengers. Do not chase fires you did not start. Stand on the wall you built and read your own law. You were not born to be governed by wounds you never voted for. Elect yourself. Count the ballots in habit, not in hashtags. Keep the books clean. Enforce without rage. And if you are ever unsure, return to the first principle: policy before mood, strategy before story, state before sentiment, then proceed. I govern myself, therefore I am free. Power rearranges the room. The chairs scrape, the smiles change, and you hear the budget of your soul being rewritten in whispers. Inside you, the parliament assembles. On one side, the loyalist counts votes for safety, minister of security clutching old treaties, minister of reputation polishing the crest that once bought you entry to familiar halls. On the other side, the reformer unrolls maps, minister of ambition tapping borders you have never crossed, minister of treasury showing what your time has truly been worth. The gavel is in your hand, trembling, then steady. The loyalist speaks first. Stay. Keep the job that flatters you with stale titles. Keep the friends who clap when you are small. Keep the peace you pay for with your sleep. Every argument arrives in uniform, respectable, nostalgic. sentimental, continuity feels like love when you are tired. But continuity has a cost. The loyalist will not list your capacity. The reformer answers without music. Numbers, not lullabies. Hours spent rescuing the avoidable, promotions you trained for, but did not claim. The estimate of what you might build if your days were not mortgaged to other people's panic. He does not promise safety. He promises sovereignty. We must change the law, he says. A city cannot grow on apologies. This is not philosophy at a distance. It is a vote in session. Your family texts, your boss delays, your partner sighs, and the chamber leans toward the old regime. The loyalist waves letters of credit, memories when compliance bought affection. The reformer produces ledgers, patterns, where compliance bought only more demands. You stand between memory and math. Only one pays your future. Your body records the struggle. A nation mid-coup, sleep comes late. Morning brings subpoenas of doubt. Speeches are how you were trapped. Words traded where decisions were due. You are not collapsing, you are replacing. Ministries will be reassigned, some dissolved. Now the price arrives. Leaving the old city means leaving the names it gave you. Reliable when reliable meant reachable at all hours. Humble when humble meant invisible. Kind when kind meant self-erasing. You grieve these costumes because they let you pass safely through crowded rooms. Without them you feel naked, and nakedness makes exit signs look like warning labels. You will mourn alliances that cannot travel. The colleague who loved you as a helper, not as a peer. The relative who admired your patience, not your boundaries. The friend who liked your jokes, not your hunger. They will not follow the convoy to the new capital. Kingdoms are not ferried on apologies. Grief comes in practical forms. The phone grows quiet, the group chat moves without you. This ache is not proof of error. It is the tax stamped on sovereignty, paid in old comforts, refunded in time to build. Understand what you are paying for. In the old city, panic governed. You ran because someone shouted fire, not because a plan required speed. You soothed because faces crumpled, not because justice required mercy. You agreed because silence scared you, not because the proposal deserved your yes. The new city cannot run on these fuels. Replacing an energy source takes more than a speech. The lights flicker before they brighten. During the transfer of power, panic broadcasts propaganda. You'll be alone, it airs at night, when the cabinet is tired. Alone here means ungoverned by the old network. The ad shows empty rooms. It omits the table where you will sit with people who respect your terms. Next broadcast, you're ungrateful. Gratitude is noble, weaponized gratitude is a leash. They say you owe what you have to those who preferred you dependent. Did they help you? Acknowledge it precisely. Then examine the interest rates. If the kindness now demands obedience, it was a loan. Pay it back or write it off. Do not pay forever. Final broadcast, they'll destroy you. Who is they? Usually a rotating cast, critics who thrive on attention and peers who trade in small gossip. The prospect is staged like a siege. Verify the facts. Are you breaking law or merely tradition? Are you losing shelter or just losing access to rooms where nothing of substance was decided? Panic magnifies shadows and sells you a fortress you do not need. Buy a lock, not a dungeon. Treat these messages as enemy communiques. Do not reply with essays. Issue bulletins to yourself instead. Write, the population of my life will shrink before it stabilizes. Write, the budget will run a deficit of comfort as we invest in capacity. Write, trade deals with the future are worth temporary sanctions from the past. Post these where you can see them at 2 a.m. when the old regime attempts a counter-coup using your tenderness. In public, hold a steady line. You need not denounce the old city to leave it. Say less. Move more. Move your calendar first. Commit time to the builds that will employ your strength. Move your attention. Stop financing theaters that sell anxiety. Move your money, fund tools, training, rest. Expect small betrayals framed as civic duty. Someone will leak your doubts as proof you are unfit to rule yourself. Someone will accidentally misstate your plans to make your caution look like incompetence. Do not chase rumors. Deliver results. Position is defended by output, not outrage. The new city needs roads, not rebuttals. When nights stretch long, Remember, a regime change looks like failure from the middle. Streets are torn open, traffic snarls. You can mistake construction for collapse if you only count what is broken. Count what is being built: stamina, standards, options, allies who prefer adults to children, partners who prefer truth to theater. One morning, you will notice quieter air, no fanfare, fewer alarms. The loyalist, demoted, still has a seat. Security is useful, but he no longer writes the laws. The reformer stops campaigning and starts planning. You approve budgets that invest in your best abilities. You veto requests that buy applause with waste. The city becomes ordinary in the finest sense: predictable, functional, fair. If loneliness visits, treat it as an inspector, not a judge. Ask what infrastructure is missing. Build a guild, not a crowd. Gather 3 people who like you, disciplined. Share knowledge. Trade accountability. Keep no one as a pet or a parent. Alliances, not dependencies. What begins as collapse becomes governance. The flags of the old city still flutter on certain corners, reminding you who you were when fear ran the treasury. History is a teacher, not a warden. Your face in the glass looks plainer and stronger. Not a hero, a mayor who shows up. Order before comfort, sovereignty before praise. Power that needs your smallness is not love. It is a contract written in smiling ink. You have been told that love forgives, bends, understands. Good. But if affection depends on your silence, your softness, your availability at any hour, it isn't affection, it's supply. Adult love has a single test: alignment with your sovereignty. If it lives only when you are less, it is occupation with flowers. Redefine the term: love that survives your growth, protects your right to choose, even when your choice reduces someone's control. It may disagree. It does not confiscate. It may grieve. It does not sabotage. It adjusts to your altitude without demanding you come back down for air. If your boundary makes them kinder too, you have alignment. If your boundary makes them meaner to you, you have dependence wearing perfume. Remove the fog. Use criteria you can test. Does this person support your skills getting sharper, your prices getting fair, your schedule getting structured? Do they celebrate your options, or do they label options betrayal? When you refuse a bad deal, do they answer with new terms or with old guilt? Love aligned with sovereignty treats your life like a nation state: equal partner, clear treaties, mutual gain. Now the friction. You do not need a chorus that claps for everything. You need steel that sparks. Supportive friction sounds like this. Your pitch is vague: cut a third and make the rest precise. Or you're skipping practice: open your calendar. This resistance is not a bid for control. It is an investment in your capacity. You leave the conversation sharpened, not shrunken. Controlling pushback looks different. It arrives as concern but keeps your power in their pocket. Are you sure you can handle it? Means please stay at a size that comforts me. You've changed means you stop paying the old tax. It makes you explain your yes and defend your no. Your goals become a court case where they play judge, jury, and appeal. The sentence is always smaller. Field test. You tell a friend you're doubling your rates. A supporter asks for your value statement, proof, and delivery timeline, then rehearses it with you so you don't blink. A controller asks for a friend's discount, calls ambition greed, and posts a quote about humility. You tell a partner you're studying after work. A supporter runs dinner and asks for a short recap on Sundays. A controller pouts, schedules over your study time, and calls your no rigid. So run the audit. 3 columns when I shrink. Who smiles when I rise? Who smiles when I hold steady? Who negotiates? Do not guess. Watch patterns. Who interrupts your focus, then calls your stress moodiness? Who waits until you're tired to request favors and labels refusal cold? Who never asks what would make your goal easier, only what makes their comfort safer? Treat these as red lights. Follow the money, your time, attention, reputation. Where does it go, and what returns? If effort buys dependence, the exchange rate is corrupt. Real allies pay back in autonomy. Skills, introductions without strings, honest data, clear consequences even when you slip. Counterfeit allies pay back in temporary calm and long-term capture. They keep you grateful, then they keep you still. Reorganize in daylight. No whispered punishments. Announce simple terms. I'll be offline after 8. I don't lend money. I'll share a budget template. Happy to help once this is documented. Watch who adapts. People aligned with your sovereignty adjust without drama. People aligned with your smallness escalate. Flattery, warnings, sudden emergencies. Do not attend every siren. You are not a fire department for avoidable fires. Accept that some bonds break by update, not malice. The version of you that kept the peace fit their version of care. The new version requires new protocols. If they cannot upgrade, wish them safety and build gates. Resentment is a poor guard. Policy is better. Keep doors for goodwill, not for re-entry of the old regime. Your fear will ask if this is loveless. It is the opposite. Its clarity lets love breathe. When interests are stated, tenderness can move without chains. You can show up whole, not as a negotiator disguising a hostage exchange as romance or friendship. Do not aim for a life without friction. Aim for the right friction. People who like you orderly will not panic when you are clear. People who like you weak will. Let the reactions sort the room. Build a table where feedback improves you, and loyalty means telling the truth, not keeping you tame. You will still care for those who cannot come with you. Care without surrender. Offer help that builds independence, not help that buys dependence. If they call this selfish, keep building. If they call this cold, keep warm with deeds that scale. Mentorship, open notes, fair pay, real apologies when you fail. Love becomes honorable when it does not require your disappearance. In the end, the test is simple. Love that asks for less of you is comfort with a crown. Love that asks for more from you, discipline, clarity, courage, may bruise a day to strengthen a decade. Choose the second. It is heavier now, lighter later. It is smaller crowds, better citizens. It is sovereignty with a hand outstretched, not a handcuff hidden in the sleeve. I choose allies of my rise. Power without management decays. Power with conscience endures. You have met your shadow already. Each time you swallowed words that should have been said, each time you apologize for being clear, each time you let a weaker plan win because the stronger one made someone uncomfortable. The shadow is not a monster. It is your unspent authority. Today you will spend it with care, not to wound, but to govern, not to intimidate, but to remove confusion. You are not becoming cruel, you are becoming precise. Install an inner chancellor. Give your power a cabinet, not a mood. First, strategy, define 3 long aims, not 30. Write them like treaty clauses, measurable, dated, costly to break. 1 for work output, 1 for capability, 1 for personal stability. Strategy approves every major move. If it doesn't serve an aim, it is theater. Second, intelligence, clean information or clean defeat. Schedule briefings, data on progress, feedback from trusted critics, signal from noise. Unfollow the accounts that only sell panic, archive threads that drain. Intelligence protects attention, the only resource you never recover. Third, treasury, treat time and energy like currency. Budget hours by return on investment, not by guilt. Put compounding first, deep work, training, sleep, fund maintenance, relationships that scale with truth, tools that remove friction, health that lets you carry weight. Treasury stops emotional spending sprees, late-night arguments, endless quick calls favors you cannot afford. Fourth, defense enforce boundaries with calm repetition. Office hours, written requests only. No unscheduled meetings, no lending money, I don't explain no. Defense is not barbed wire, it is signage, gates, and a guard who does not gossip. Fifth, justice, consequences that are known before they are needed. The laws should be simple. Repeat violations, reduce access. Results grow trust. Apologies without change carry fees. Justice operates without speeches. It is the math behind your mercy. When justice is consistent, you can be generous without being taken. When it is absent, generosity becomes a gamble, and you become easy to punish. Now, the tactics that make you less punishable: diversify dependencies. Do not let one person own your paycheck, your praise, or your peace. Build parallel channels. A second skill that pays, a second mentor who is not their friend, a second place where your work lives. Options reduce leverage. If one gate closes, you do not kneel. You turn, cultivate options like reserves. Keep small savings. small networks, small proofs of capability that travel with you. An option is a quiet sword. You rarely swing it, but everyone behaves better when they see the hilt. Maintain information asymmetry. Share enough to collaborate, not enough to be captured. Announce outcomes, not anxieties. Document agreements in writing. Decline to explain motives. If someone needs your reasons, they need your reins. Keep sensitive plans on paper you control, not in rooms you cannot secure. This is not secrecy for its own sake. It is clarity about who must know what to execute. Asymmetry protects you from reputational ambushes and narrative theft, two favorite weapons of the insecure. Set enforceable consequences. Begin small and certain rather than large and theatrical. Move a meeting to email. Move a collaboration to a trial period. Move an open door to by appointment. When deadlines slip without cause, freeze scope before you freeze. Trust. When a promise is broken twice, change the contract. Do not discuss the weather of their feelings. Discuss the climate of their behavior. The aim is not victory. It is order. An orderly life is hard to punish because it has fewer loose ends to yank. Practice refusal without residue. Say no as a final product, not a draft for negotiation. No, that won't work for me. If they demand a novel, decline the genre. Refusal is a training program for you and for them. You learn that boundaries do not require a courtroom. They learn that boundaries are not performance art. Over time, both parties save energy and respect grows where manipulation once paid. Use visibility to deter petty attacks. Publish clean logs of work, not personal diaries. Keep receipts, deliverables, timestamps, approvals. The person who hopes to trap you uses fog. You carry a lantern made of documentation. When a story turns against you, you do not scream. You show your notes. Bureaucracy is a shield when wielded by someone who is not afraid of paper. Learn the pause before you answer. Buy time. I'll confirm by noon tomorrow. Pressure loves haste. Leverage loves confusion. The pause lets intelligence brief you. Treasury price the cost. Defense mark the line. Justice remind you of precedent. Strategy ask if any of this serves your aims. A life with pauses is difficult to manipulate because it is no longer run by alarms. Understand the ethics of the strong. Necessary firmness prevents sentimental harm. You do not allow a friend to keep borrowing because you will not help them build a budget. You do not stay in a role that wastes you because the team depends on you to make their chaos survivable. You do not protect a colleague's comfort by hiding the metrics that show decline. Sentiment delays pain and multiplies it. Firmness concentrates pain where it belongs and ends it faster. Clarity is kinder than indulgence. A clean no stops false hope. A clean yes comes with terms that survive stress. A clean correction spares 10 future humiliations. The strong do not need to humiliate. They need to preserve function. Machiavellian ethics are often misread as license to harm. They are better read as instructions to minimize unnecessary harm. When the choice is between blurred kindness that breaks the system and sharp kindness that keeps it running, choose the line. Hold yourself to reciprocity. If you demand standards, you must meet them. If you enforce consequences, you must accept them. If you value truth, let others correct you without fear. Power becomes trust when it governs itself. When you fail, and you will issue your own penalty. Apologize in specifics, not in theater. Repair faster than you explain. Your shadow is integrated not when you win, but when you can afford to be wrong without collapsing. Use strength to build commons. Share templates, playbooks, contacts with no strings. The weak hoard and bargain, the strong seed and scale. You don't weaponize scarcity to keep others small. You create enough order that many can grow beside you. This is not charity, it is infrastructure. Cities with good roads attract good traders. Your life becomes a market where fair dealing is profitable and extraction is expensive. Expect resistance as you install this government. Some will call you cold because you no longer pay with confusion. Some will call you arrogant because you no longer apologize for existing at full size. Do not answer with heat, answer with consistency. The complaints will exhaust themselves against a wall that does not move. At night, when your old softness begs to return unarmed, remember the aim. You did not meet the shadow to become a storm. You met it to become weather that grows crops. Sober, reliable, strong. People should not fear you. They should fear wasting your time. They should not fear your power. They should trust that your power is principled. You are less punishable now, not invincible. Sane. Attacks slide because there are fewer hooks. Guilt fades because it cannot find a purchase. You walk with a cabinet at your back. You look like one person, but you are a state. I use power cleanly. Peace arrives when you have enough power to keep the door closed without raising your voice. You stop begging for quiet. You build it, boundaries, competence, and options. These are the walls that end needless battles. A boundary says what is allowed. Competence removes chaos at the root. Options free you from the few who think you must endure them. When these stand together, storms lose interest. You do not win peace by pleading with the weather. You win it by constructing a house that does not leak. Start with boundaries. You set hours, terms, and limits, and then you keep them without speeches. People learn that access is earned, not seized. The volume drops, then competence. You know your craft. You keep your promises. You document the road. The reliable are hard to attack. Every strike exposes the attacker. Finally, options. A second skill, a second income path, a second network. When no single gatekeeper can cage you, threats shrink to size. You are not hard. You are prepared. Prepared people sleep. This readiness turns yearning into schedule. You no longer wish for better days. You allocate them. You no longer hope someone will finally understand you. You offer clear terms anyone can follow. If they cannot, you move. Not because you are cruel, but because you refuse to finance chaos with your life. With capacity in place, you present the new social treaty: simple, readable, enforceable, mutual gain. If we work together, both sides advance. No tribute of self-erasure is required. Respect for autonomy. You are free to build your plan. I am free to build mine. We meet at honest intersections, honest consequences. If terms break, access changes, not rage, not rumor. Adjustment. The treaty is not poetry. It is policy that keeps friendship from turning into feudal duty and work from turning into worship. In practice, it sounds like this: I'm available from 9 to 5, and I deliver by Wednesday if decisions are in by Monday. I don't negotiate in group chats. Send a document. I don't lend cash, but I will review your budget this weekend. Calm, specific, repeatable. The right people relax around this language. The wrong people protest, then expose themselves with more noise than value. You do not fight them, you outlast them. Alliances under this treaty feel different. Friends challenge you without trying to share your life. Partners anticipate pressure and plan around it, without weaponizing need. Colleagues see you as a force multiplier, not a sponge. You share credit because you are not starving. You give information because you no longer trade in fog. The air gets clearer. Projects finish. Apologies shrink to their proper size. Rare, sincere, brief. There will be some departures. Let them be dignified. Not everyone wants a world where terms are written down. Some prefer the rule of crisis and charm. You are done with that currency. Wish them luck and keep building roads. Roads attract travelers who know where they are going. When the noise attempts a comeback, you do not draft essays. You follow your treaty. You reduce access. You restock reserves. You return to the work that compounds skills, systems, relationships with adults. Peace stays when you maintain it like infrastructure. Swept streets, trimmed hedges, working lights. It is not dramatic. It is reliable. Now picture the morning after a long season of storms. You walk your city at dawn. No cheering, no booing, just order. Shops open on time. Trains arrive as planned. The square is calm because the laws are clear and the gates are watched. You nod to the guards and pass through without hurry. The crown you wear is quiet, a well-run calendar, a bank of rest, a ledger of kept promises. People know how to approach you. They know how to stay. They know how to leave. That knowledge is peace. You did not conquer to strut. You secured to serve the life you are building. From this steadiness, you can be generous without being robbed, kind without being used, open without being invaded. You do not need to prove anything. You run the city, it runs well. Capacity first, then peace.